Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and as I'm sure you're aware, the Pacific is here. I mean, if you're at all interested in BF5, then you'd have to have been deaf and indeed blind to miss out on that information, and with it came 4 new weapons that didn't have to be unlocked, just there ready for you to fondle and occasionally blow people's brains out with. I did more of the fondling, but that's, a different story. And you've likely already seen other creators talk about them by now, but I want to do more than you've likely seen elsewhere. I want to go that extra mile and go in depth, look at the stats and the facts, make relevant comparisons, and complete the dessert with the cherry on top that is my opinion. Yes, that's a weird analogy, but you need to get used to that around here. Because today, I want to share why this gun deserves you mastering it and how you could benefit from it. Because this might just be the best new SMG in the game, the Type 100. That's of course up for debate, but what I can say objectively is that it's certainly one of the new top tier options. It's that good. So while it of course won't work for some people, because that's always the case, for the majority, this will be absolutely worth putting some time into. Now let's kick this off, and I want you to keep in mind for the footage you're watching today in this entire video, I didn't have any range or ADS buffing specializations on aside from in maybe one game where I had recoil buffer. The rest is all hipfire and quick aim buffs, only partial specialization upgrades or no specs at all. The diversity of kills, the mix of ranges I'm challenging at, and the versatility on display was all possible even with that kind of setup, which should already hint at just how damn good this weapon is, even though it's a fast firing option which often leaves the gun locked into being close range only, but we'll get to all that. If you want to see straight off the bat what I ended up settling on, it was this spec tree. Quick aim, the 2 hipfire specs on the left, and then recoil buffer at the bottom. This was a monstrous setup I found, and I highly recommend it, but you can set this weapon up totally differently and it'll be equally as lethal if you use it in the right fashion. Honestly, you can't really go wrong with this thing. And I'm playing on console where recoil control and target acquisition is more of an issue, and yet still this gun was capable of all this. I can't even imagine how reliable it must be on PC using a mouse. Just ridiculously consistent. But I said it fires fast. Well, how fast is that? Okay, so the Type 100 has a rate of fire of 720 rounds per minute. That's the same as the Tommy gun without the light bolt specialization, and 50 rounds per minute slower than the fastest firing SMG in the game, the Suomi, again without light bolt. And for the duration of this video, any comparisons made with these 2 weapons will assume that they don't have light bolt equipped. Not because it makes the Type 100 appear better than it is, but because it's the most relevant comparison to make. Because while light bolt achieves a faster time to kill, it also heavily affects accuracy and range, 2 very important factors to consider when looking at what makes the Type 100 so good. Essentially, with light bolt equipped, the other 2 are irrelevant to the discussion and are purely just super CQC weapons. Now with those other fast firing SMGs, your mind instantly jumps to getting into the enemy, spraying people down and dominating those close range areas. And they're great at that, of course. And arguably at the minute, they're also pretty good at mid-ish range as well. But what they aren't are versatile multi-range, multi-situation weapons. But the Type 100 is. Now it has a slightly slower times kill due to lower bullet damage, which of course means you need to hit more shots for the kill. But at say 10 meters, if you land all your shots to center mass, you're still picking up a kill in around 0.35 seconds, which is damn fast. Plus, as always, although you need to land more bullets with the Type 100, a faster rate of fire can make for a more forgiving weapon when it comes to missed shots, as the next round is so quickly on its way after a missed one. And 5 bullets to kill inside 10 meters on a weapon that fires at 720 rounds per minute isn't exactly a problem. Then on top, the Type 100, as should be obvious from what I've said so far, has far superior spread and overall accuracy capabilities than the Suomi and the Tommy gun. And yes, there are some spread mechanics in this game despite popular belief. I've seen the stats, and I'll be making a video very soon about how you can too. Now maybe that's not enough for you to choose the Type 100 over the Tommy gun or the Suomi sometimes, especially when they can use the aforementioned light bolt specialization, which the Type 100 can't, and they can have 50 rounds per reload, while the Type 100 can only have 30, which is probably the biggest black mark against it and will be a big point for some players. Well, we've talked about close range time to kill and how the Type 100 can compete there, also keeping in mind by the way guys that although it's a tad slower than these 2 competitors, it's still a very solid time to kill overall, especially when you move outside of 10 meters actually, where it starts to really excel. But let's go all the way to the other end of the spectrum. Look at this clip. If I'm using a Tommy gun or a Suomi, I'm not really thinking about trying to help landing finishing damage at this kind of range with any kind of regularity, at least not on console. It would be a one-off. Not with the Type 100 though, because even without it being set up purely for ADS and range fire engagements, it can still do the job with no issues. It's arguably too good at it. And that's without using the bipod, because yes, this fast TTK, range versatile and mobile play friendly weapon also has a bipod. It doesn't need one in order to compete, and yet it has one. So now it can also be used, if you so wish, to hold down an area, be used as a defensive option, and compete at true long range. This throws it in with the ZK383 as a bipod SMG option. And I'd assume the ZK would win out for accuracy, but it's actually pretty scary just how reliable the Type 100 is, even with that faster rate of fire. I looked at the in-depth stats, and honestly, the Type 100 holds up as a viable option for almost any range. And it has a faster time to kill than the ZK, obviously. The supposed mitigating factor being that the slower rate of fire of the ZK makes it easier to land your damage, which is true, but if we're being honest, it's not exactly hard to use any weapon in this game using a bipod, the Type 100 included. It's like the ZK's more aggressive and hyper brother, and honestly, I prefer it by quite a lot. I mean, if you can control what recoil is present, it's tough to see what you can't use this gun for as far as SMGs go. You can run and gun, you can play your position and bipod up, you can contest at mid-range, you can compete at long range while still being a real force at close quarters, you can go for ADS focus and snap from one target to the other, utilizing that fast time to kill, and you can go for hipfire focus and spray away, because SMGs in this game have exceptional hipfire, and I feel like even about a year into this game, a lot of players aren't truly aware of that. And that's all talking about how I have mine set up. Like if you want to go full ADS and range focus, you could go for custom stock and lighten stock instead of the hipfire perks, and just be a fast strafing super accurate laser beam user. It's scary really what this thing can do. And if you want to open this up to the medic class on the whole, well, it kills faster than something like the super well-rounded Sten, while still not being particularly hard to use, and it kills faster than something like the EMP once you get outside 10 meters, whilst again, to stress, still being viable at mid to long range, and having a bipod for extreme reliability. This should all be coming together in your head by now, I think. This gun is far too good for you to not give it some serious time to connect with. Don't ignore it. Don't put it down because you didn't enjoy one little play session with it. We recently saw a lot of people do that with the trench carbine, and that thing can be absolutely fantastic. As stated, some people just won't enjoy the Type 100 because not everybody likes the same stuff, but you have to give it time to find out. Some of you will end up really glad that you did. I'm honestly considering if this weapon isn't well balanced, it could be considered overpowered due to its lack of downsides. Usually weapons that are solid at pretty much everything are balanced out by not being optimal choices for specific things, but the Type 100 is so good at so many things that I feel like that doesn't apply here. I wonder if this will become a Hellriegel situation. Perhaps not quite on that level, but that was like a plague on Battlefield 1. Some of you will already have recoiled in horror when I said that with memories of the Hellriegel in Battlefield 1, but I'll be interested to see how it all pans out. Maybe its popularity won't take off. Of course that's possible, but I won't really understand why if so, and I'll just continue to enjoy this fantastic weapon. This might be my new favourite SMG now. I just come to finally love the MP28, but the Type 100 takes the crown for me at this point, at least temporarily while I'm maybe in a honeymoon period with it. It allows me to be as aggressive as I want, whilst also not being punished for it by the super large and open maps in this game. Now some caveats, don't take this all to the extreme. Literally just apply what I said to your understanding. You will not outsnipe people with this SMG. You cannot blaze through shotgun users with this SMG. This SMG will not be as lethal a bipod weapon as an MMG, alright? You see what I'm saying? It's all relative. It's all being discussed under the considerations of the weapon type it is and the class it's in. That being said, you now have a super versatile option on a class that allows you to heal infinitely. So that's going to be interesting. And now, what do you think? Have you tried the Type 100? Do you like it? How do you have it set up? And what's your favorite SMG in Battlefield 5? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd honestly appreciate you leaving a like, as I would you subscribing and turning on notifications to see my future content, and feel free to join my stream and my Discord server in the description below. Here's to Board of Awesome for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. They're all absolute heroes, and I love them all deeply and of course, often. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you do next time. Laters. Yes. Hi. But you're definitely dead. Oh god. Oh, much action, much war. I'm on fire. Use the trenches. Survive. Get back to my mother. Make it seem like soldiers had a weird obsession with the mother. It's a bit odd. I'm stuck. I said I was going to value my life and look where I put myself. I'm mildly scared, just so you're aware. Can I get... I need meds.